Good afternoon, all. I am Dr. Avina Kumari. I am the assistant professor in the Department of Family Medicine at Dow Medical College. So today we will be discussing about the palliative care. So this is a very new specialty and very new topic, even in this region, even in the country. And for you also, this will be a very new concept. So today we will be discussing about this. So objectives of this presentation are that by the end of this session, you will be able to define the palliative care, and you should understand the concept of palliative care, the philosophy behind this palliative care, overview of the symptoms of the patient presenting for the palliative care, what are the different scales, what are the different symptoms in the end of the life care, and then the references. So what is palliative care or palliative? So palliative is a Latin word which derived from a Latin word, the pallium, which means that to cloak or cover. So basically an action that ameliorates. So basically palliative care means that you are basically trying to give comfort, but not giving the curative treatment. So we have to concern ourselves with the quality of life as well as its length. So this is basically a beautiful and very famous quote said by the Dame Cicely Saunders. So who is Dame Cicely Saunders? Dame Cicely Saunders is basically an English nurse, and she was also a social worker and a writer. She did research in the terminal care, and she was the one who emphasized the importance of palliative care in the modern medicine. So you can say that she introduced the concept of palliative care in the traditional medicine. So for her, it was really important that you just don't prolong the life, but you also focus on the quality of life. While the traditional medicine was only focusing on the longevity of life. So how will we define the palliative care? So according to World Health Organization, palliative care can be defined as an approach that improves the quality of life of patients and their families facing the problems associated with life-threatening illnesses through the prevention and relief of suffering by means of early identification and impeccable assessment and treatment of pain and other problems like physical, psychosocial, and spiritual. So basically, in summary, you can say that palliative care is basically a medical care which is focused on improving the quality of life for people living with the serious illnesses. So this concept is now not limited to the persons who are terminally ill or who are cancer patients. Palliative care can be given to all those patients who have serious illnesses or who are fighting with the serious illnesses. So basically what does it do? It basically treats the symptoms, it supports the families, and it helps ensure that care is given in accordance to patients' preferences, values, and goals. So now the what is basically suffering, or what the concept of suffering has basically 4 components: physical, emotional, social, and then spiritual. So when we say that we are basically dealing with the suffering of the patients or giving them the palliative care, we have to take in consideration all the 4 components. So what does we mean by physical components? So physical components, as we all know, that the symptoms with which patients are presenting, like pain, like breathlessness, like constipation, like nausea, vomiting. So these are the physical symptoms or the physical component. So the traditional medicine is dealing with them very well. Physical symptoms are dealt in the traditional medicine very well, that they are giving the curative treatment for these symptoms, or they are managing with the medicines or with other remedies. But that was not focusing the other elements which are very essential when we talk about palliative care. So the other components like emotional, social, and spiritual, these are very relevant and very important when we are dealing with the patients in terms of palliative care. So emotional component or psychosocial psychological component means that the patient may have depression, may have stress. So for this, patient also needs support. I mean, a patient who has a terminal illness or who is seriously ill can go into a feeling of isolation, can go into depression because of that chronic disease, or because of the feeling of loneliness, and because of the feeling that he is a burden to his family, his or her family. And then stress and anxiety and fear of death. So you have to deal with all these emotions and all these feelings of the patient. Then the social component. So in the social component, you have to cater the family also. You're not dealing with just one person or with just one patient. You have to deal and take into consideration the account of the family also, because a patient who is terminally ill will have to take her medical decisions by himself or herself, but the family is also important, because family is the caregiver, or maybe a person, a son is a caregiver, or maybe a daughter-in-law is a caregiver. And then also, besides the caregiver, they are also the financial means of that patient. So for these reasons, you have to take into account their view, you have to listen to them also. But definitely the ultimate decision maker is the patient, because you have to follow the rule of autonomy. So what is autonomy? Autonomy is basically that patient has the right to take the decisions of his or her health. For example, he or she should be on the vent or not, what or she should go for chemo or not. So all these major decisions should be taken by the patients, but you have to take into account the family's views also, and you have to listen them also, and then take as a whole. Then comes the spiritual elements. So a person who knows that I'm going to die in few days or few months, or who knows that I will not be cured, maybe he has some spirituality things to do before he wants to die, because in every religion there are some differences, but there is a concept of life after death. So some people are very spiritual, some people are less religious, but you have to take into consideration the spiritual element also. So basically, what is spirituality? Spirituality is the attempt to understand the underlying meaning of life, one's relationship to oneself and with other people, and one's place in the universe. So even when you are taking some medical steps or offering some treatments, they may have some spiritual element behind that. So you have to take into consideration that spirituality of the patient also. So focus on caring for the whole person and enfolding their family and friends within that care. So these are a few points, are the main summarized points, you can say, from the World Health Organization about the palliative care. So what it is and what does it mean? So palliative care provides relief from the pain and other distressing symptoms. It affirms life and regards dying as a normal process. So most of the people have a concept, even including doctors and patients and families, have a concept that death is basically a failure of medical science. They don't accept that death is the ultimate destiny of life. It intends neither to hasten nor postpone death. So we are not prolonging the life, or we are not fighting against the death, but we are offering the quality of care. I mean, whatever the period he or she is remaining to live in this life, make it valuable, make it enjoyable. It integrates the psychological and spiritual aspects of patient care. It offers a support system to help patients live as actively as possible until death. It offers a support system to help the family cope during the patient illness and in their own bereavement period. So palliative care does not end with the end of the patient's life. The scope is beyond that. I mean, it gives support to the family also in their bereavement period. After the death of the patient, when the family or friends are in a period of bereavement, are in a period of grief, it gives support to them also. Okay. So it uses a team approach to address the needs of the patient and their families, including bereavement counseling if needed, as we discussed in the last slide. It will enhance the quality of life and may also positively influence the course of illness. It is applicable early in the course of illness and in conjunction with other therapies that are intended to prolong life, such as chemotherapy or radiation therapy, and includes those investigations needed to better understand and manage distressing clinical complications. So the concept of palliative care, or the palliative care does not start at the few days remaining in for death. It starts early when your illness starts. I mean, when you have diagnosed a certain condition, that you have this motor neuron disease, or a patient has this multiple sclerosis. So when your curative treatment starts for that disease, the palliative care also starts from that point. So palliative care is basically, it's not an approach, but it's a specialty. It's a medical subspecialty which is recognized all over the world. So it requires a set of knowledge, attitudes, and skill-based competencies. It is most effectively delivered by interdisciplinary collaboration. So basically, it is a medical subspecialty which is provided by an interdisciplinary team of experts, which includes a general practitioner or a family physician, a nurse, a palliative care physician, an oncologist or cancer specialist, a psychologist, a physiotherapist, and depending on the needs of the patient, it may include a dietitian, it may include a pharmacist. It applies to all patients with progressive, life-threatening, incurable illnesses. So this means that it does not deal only those patients who are terminally ill or who are going to die or who are near to death. It includes all those patients who are seriously ill or who have very serious illnesses. Palliative care is not just for the terminal phases of life or the last few days or weeks. So it is an active care. It acknowledges the interdependence of the various causes of suffering. It acknowledges the illness experience of the patient and the family. It involves optimizing living as fully as possible in the time remaining while preparing for dying. So as we said that it does not end with the end of the patient's life, and it does not only incorporate the patient, but it also includes the family, because caregiver burden is also very important. The stress of the caregiver is also very important. So you have to deal with all these things simultaneously. And the last, that grief and bereavement is integral to the palliative care. So there are many challenges to this specialty. I mean, if as a family physician or as a general practitioner or the person who is the main physician of that patient has many challenges which are dealt on and off, like that you have to tell the prognosis at the end of the life. So it's very important. There are many tools for this, and it's very important to understand that when they are approaching the end of life, because many patients will ask you that, okay, I know that I am dying, but when I am dying, because I have to do certain important things before I die. Then there are certain expectations about the end of the life. Then the communication and care, because you know that patient autonomy is very important for a doctor, but besides that you can't overtake that the family is not important. Yeah, either you can't say that I will not listen to the family members. You have to include in each and every step the family also. Even the patient is competent and he or she is taking her or his own decisions. So you can do that. You can identify a spokesperson for that family and then conduct the family meetings, allow them to be heard, provide them time for the consensus so that they can talk within their family and relatives, and then decide what to do or what not to do. And then also, as a clinician or as a physician, your self-care is also very important. I mean, you must recognize what are your limitations and how to overcome that. Then there is a word called hospice. So what is hospice? Hospice is basically a place where the sick and terminally ill patients are cared. I mean, you can say that it is not a hospital, but it is a place or it is a home to provide care for those terminally ill patients. So the hospice and palliative care can be provided wherever a person care takes place. I mean, the palliative care can be provided in patient's own home, in a care facility, in an inpatient unit, in a hospital, or even as an outpatient. So this is one of the most important advantage of palliative care. People requiring palliative care do not need to travel to a center to receive their care. So in Pakistan, there are a few hospices also, although they are very limited. They are not many, and in Karachi also there are some. So one of the hospice is the Baitul Sukoon, which I have also visited once. And the palliative care as a specialty is not well established or recognized in all the hospitals in the Pakistan, but the Aga Khan is providing palliative care as an outpatient also, as an inpatient also, and there they have recognized this as a medical subspecialty. So what we have discussed till now, we can summarize in this diagram. So basically what this diagram is saying, that what is the role of hospice palliative care during illness and bereavement. So you can see that on the horizontal line or on the x-axis there is time, and on the y-axis or the vertical line there is a focus of care. So initially the presentation or the symptoms appear, and then we diagnose a certain condition. So this is basically the acute phase of the illness. Then as the time progresses, there is chronicity in the illness, so it becomes chronic, and then with time it becomes advanced and then life threatening, and then comes the end of the life care, and then ultimately the patient's death. And on the y-axis or on the vertical line, you can see that there is a focus of care. So this diagram is basically divided into therapy to modify disease and the hospice palliative care. So from this diagram, you can easily appreciate that as the time progresses and the disease becomes chronically and in the terminal stages, goes into the chronicity and terminal stages, the focus of care is shifted from the curative to the palliative. Initially, the major chunk of the treatment is the therapy to modify disease or the curative element, and then the major chunk of the care is the palliative care or the therapy to relieve the suffering or improve the quality of life. And then with the patient's death, you can see that the curative treatment or the therapy to modify disease ends, but the palliative care continues, and it also incorporates the bereavement period of the patient's family. Also from this diagram, you can appreciate that the palliative care does not start from the chronicity of the illness or does not start from the end of the life care. It starts from the day one when the patient presents to you or you diagnose that patient with a certain disease. So it goes side by side with the curative treatment. So now coming to the common symptoms of the patients with which palliative care patients mostly present are, we deal with those symptoms in and out during the palliation. So pain, breathlessness, fatigue, dementia or delirium, depression and anxiety, urinary and fecal incontinence, bed sores, insomnia, nausea and vomiting, mouth ulcers, dry mouth, diarrhea, anorexia and cachexia, weight loss, constipation. So there are many more symptoms besides these also, but I have just listed down a few of them to give you an overview that what could be these symptoms. So of these, the pain, breathlessness, these are the most distressing symptoms and most feared one. So the cause behind these symptoms can be different. I mean, some of these symptoms are due to the part of the treatment. I mean, due to the curative treatment, part of that curative treatment. I mean, if someone is going through the radiation or going through the chemotherapy, though some of these symptoms are basically because of that. Some symptoms are due to the side effects of the medicines. I mean, like constipation. Constipation has many reasons. I mean, it could be because of the opioid use. It could be because of the inactivity or less mobility of that patient. So there are different reasons behind different symptoms. Nausea and vomiting could be because of constipation. Nausea and vomiting could be because of the medicines that they are taking. It could be because of the effects of the chemotherapy. So you have to manage those symptoms. Then there are different scales or there are different tools to measure these symptoms. so that you can assess the quality of life. So there are many more. I will not be going into the details of all those scales or tools, but will give you an overview of those. So the symptom assessment scales are basically the validated tools to measure the severity of symptoms and to assess the patient's quality of life. So the different tools focus on different aspects, but the fundamental elements of these tools include the physical and psychological symptoms. Different tools have different scoring and grading according to that particular questionnaire, and some are basically filled by the physician, and some can be visual analog scales that are filled by the patient him or herself. So I have just given as an example the two names I have mentioned here, the Edmonton Symptom Assessment Scale and the Memorial Symptom Assessment Scale. So these are the references. Thank you. So if you have any questions, now you can ask. Hello.
जी मैडम।
लेक्चर तो एंड हो गया, अगर किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन है तो आई थिंक 5 मिनट्स दे देते हैं।
ठीक है।
So there is a question that what do we ask in Edmonton assessment scale? So it has different components. So in Edmonton assessment scale, as I said, that basic elements are the pain, like physical and psychological symptoms, and it is a basically visual analog scale. So you can see that, but I am not going into detail because first you should understand what is palliative care. So through this lecture, I just want to give you a concept of the palliative care. Okay, there is another question that is palliative care a separate field? Yes, it is basically a medical subspecialty which is recognized in other parts of the world, but here it's a very new emerging field, and like as I said that the concept is very new, so it is, yes, it is definitely a medical subspecialty and a separate field. हेलो।
जी मैडम।
मेरे ख्याल से और तो कोई क्वेश्चंस नहीं है।
ठीक है मैडम, मैं ऑफ कर देता हूँ। ठीक है मैम।
ओके जी।
थैंक यू मैडम, अल्लाह हाफिज़।
अल्लाह हाफिज।